My name is Attila COF and I'll be talking about hybrid cars. Recently I visited a restaurant with my friend and his dad visiting from Northern California. While we were looking for parking, we passed a row and every car in that row seemed to be a hybrid car. Whether it was a Toyota Prius, Honda Civic, or any other type. We can all agree that increasing number of car manufacturers are producing more and more hybrid vehicles. And I've given this topic a great deal of thought before, and I mentioned it to my friend and his dad during dinner, who were very opposed to hybrid engines. I wasn't aware that some people might oppose to hybrid cars, but after that dinner I wanted to research a more developed point of view that I've chosen to express today. And after much research, I've concluded that hybrid cars are indeed beneficial and have a significant positive effect on the environment. There are some concerns to why these models may pose some worry. However, these are outweighed by the numerous upsides. I intend to convey the three most compelling factors behind these cars, which categorize into air quality, less dependency on gasoline, and environmentally friendly engine systems. Many of you might be concerned about air quality, but all of us should be, since we live in the greater Los Angeles area, which has a history of poor air quality. Now, since hybrid engines don't discharge much exhaust, the air isn't damaged nearly as much as traditional engines would. Speaking of air quality, it's a top concern that has direct relation to lung disease. A study was conducted by Dr. Kinney at Rancho National Rehabilitation Center, who has been monitoring these figures for many years, states that hybrid engines on average produce 40% less emissions compared to gasoline engine. And she also claims this reduces the risk for lung diseases. As though lung disease wasn't enough, car exhaust also contributes to acidic rain. Acid rain causes plants to die, given the strong chemical properties that combine with the atmosphere. So not only does air quality affect our health, but also the livelihood of plants and agricultural production. The next major benefit of these cars offer is they lower dependency on gasoline. Gas prices seem low at the moment, but nothing will last forever, especially oil. Having to rely on finite resources like oil can prove to be a downfall later on. Less need for oil means less drilling, which is its own controversial topic. If we drill at the same rate we're now, we will find ourselves in a ruined world, not only economically endangered, but also environmentally destroyed. Ian Lurch, the author of the book Geological Risk and Uncertainty in Oil Exploration, has never supported large-scale drilling. Since drilling leads to exposure to contaminants, spill and leak damage to both land and water that can neither be cleaned nor reversed to its previous state. Speaking of resources, this leads me to my final point, that the material required for production must also be taken from a source. The material needed for hybrid cars can be acquired cheaper and with less of an impact to the environment. According to the Environmental Health and Safety Department, the nickel batteries found in hybrid vehicles are basically zero landfill products. Whatever can't be recycled is consumed in the recycling process, leaving no trash behind. So it was safe to say not only nickel is more common, but also it is cheaper to use and cleaner. Thus, it's relatively clear that hybrid cars prove to be a short-term solution, but also one that protects against problems to come. We must think of our future, not only in terms of economies, but also the world we live in. This solution saves our air, lives, our environment, and while some may speculate this path, the benefits far outweigh any opposing concern. Thank you.
All right, Attila, at the beginning of the speech, it sounded like you had three distinct claims of fact that you're presenting. They actually seem to be closely related to each other, but it seemed like you were saying the same thing three different ways. And so I'm not exactly sure which one you're going to commit to as your proposition. That should be a little bit sharper. There was a preview, however, of the supporting points and what they were going to be. You didn't state them as declarative sentences, but you did identify what the subject matter would be. I thought the third one was a little bit rushed in your preview. I couldn't even tell you what it was at the beginning. Now, when you got to it, I thought you signposted it pretty well, so that helped quite a bit. In the body of the speech, you signposted the first point well, although I think you did rush to get to that point. There's a presupposition about the quality of the air and about acid rain that I think needs a little bit more background. My understanding is that the quality of air has gotten substantially better over the years as opposed to worse, and maybe that's contributed to by the use of hybrid cars, but it might also have something to do with other efficiencies in the cars. The notion that hybrids are going to get us a greater alternative or a greater reduction than either increased efficiency in existing automobiles or alternative energy systems like electrical cars or hydrogen-based vehicles, I think that needs to be explored a little bit more. Your second point was clearly stated. I appreciated that. And the third point really sounds like it's not as clearly explained, but as I'm listening to it, it sounds like it's basically, look, it's like a full-use product. We get to use up everything, and so there's less waste as a consequence. So I'm kind of assuming that that's what that third point's about. Your evidence, I thought you had a couple of good examples. I like the personal example that you have at the beginning to sort of explain what the subject was, although I'm still not sure where the controversy comes from. It sounds like your friend and his father had something that they were bitching about hybrid vehicles, and you suddenly felt a need to defend them, but I don't know that anybody else has got this problem, but at least you attempted to explain why there's a need to listen to an argument on this. I did hear some testimony from some authorities. I thought that was pretty solid. There was at least one piece of statistical information on air pollution reductions, that was helpful. You were pretty consistent about citing your sources during the presentation, so I thought that was effective also. Your generalizations are fairly narrow, so the amount of support that you provided for them was okay, although I do think that the second and the third points needed a little bit more information. On presentation issues, basically you're reading the whole time, there's no audience contact, and it sounds like you're rushing during the speech. So you've got a lot of things that you're doing well organizationally and with the citation of evidence, and you need to work on presentation and clarity of some of the claims. Thank you.
Thanks.